woman who has learned, through years of systematic psychological violence, that control is the peer pressure of this godswood confrontation. We must understand who Cersei is before Ned enters. Years barely looking at her. Joffrey is his bastard son, hidden in the royal dark, has discovered this truth, and he arrives believing himself moral, someone with power to offer mercy. What he does not understand is that Cersei has spent decades learning that choices made by women are never actual choices. They are permissions granted by men and revoked without notice. Every option available to her has been stripped. And so she has learned to respond not with negotiation, but with psychological collapse into binary terms. Win or die. Because she has experienced, over and over, that the middle ground is where women are destroyed.
Wasn't of your friend.
When Cersei invokes Jaime here, she is not boasting about his swordsmanship. She is invoking him as proof that she is not alone. Jaime has chosen her over duty, over honor, over country. And in facing a man about to destroy everything, she speaks his name like an anchor. What Ned hears as confidence is actually desperate dependence reframed, relational einchoring. The act of referencing a protective relationship not to explain position, but to remind oneself, and the opponent, that powerlessness is not total. The psychology here follows what trauma researcher Bessel van der Kolk identifies in survivors. When external threats are overwhelming, individuals anchor themselves to one reliable relationship and weaponize it as proof of strength. Cersei stops defending and starts redefining. She does not say this is wrong, but necessary. She says this is historical. This is natural. She is converting her wound and her transgression into law. What she is describing beneath the words is the original moment of perfect unity, before Robert, before humiliation, before she was separated from the one person who actually sees her. recontextualization. Trauma researcher James Gilligan documents that when individuals experience unbearable shame, they often reconstruct the source of shame as virtue or inevitability. Cersei does not say, "I committed incest." She says, "We belong together because biology demands it."
Loved her more than me.
This is the wound. On the night that was supposed to be her triumph, she was called by another woman's name. She was compared to a corpse and found wanting. The man who was supposed to be her refuge preferred the dead. Fundinal trauma. Psychologist Harriet Lerner describes moments where a person receives absolute rejection despite meeting all social expectations. These moments rewire identity. Cersei's wound did not create her cruelty. It created her requirement for total control. Everything Cersei does afterward traces backward to this night. Every manipulation, every act of psychological warfare. They are attempts to ensure she will never again be in a position where her worth is subject to someone else's judgment.
And your children.
Notice the architecture. She does not say, "I will betray you." She says the king will find out. She has learned, from years of watching men exercise power, that if you frame destruction as mercy, people believe you. If you position yourself as the restraining force, people thank you even as you destroy them. Reactive ag Dressian masquerade. Research by psychologists Crick and Dodge on hostile attribution bias shows that individuals with histories of powerlessness often misinterpret neutral actions as threats, then respond with aggression they frame as self-defense. Cersei is about to orchestrate destruction, but she will experience it as protection.
You made him give it up.
Cersei delivers the final psychological inversion. She tells Ned that his defining moral moment, refusing power to restore the Targaryen line, was catastrophic failure. She reframes his entire moral identity as weakness. And what makes this lethal is that it contains truth. Ned has played by rules Cersei refuses to acknowledge. One transference, Crufts Traj, Prochik Prozi, interpersonal neurobiology researcher Daniel Siegel documents that traumatized individuals often convince others to validate their survival strategy by describing what happens to people who refuse it. Cersei is showing Ned his own destruction and calling it mercy. She needs him to see that her response, seize power, destroy anyone who threatens, weaponize everyone you love, was not cruelty.
There is no middle ground.
She states the theorem. There is no middle ground. This is not political observation. This is psychological description based on her own devastation. She has experienced middle ground as powerlessness, as humiliation, as the space where you are called by another woman's name. There is no middle ground she has not already been destroyed by. And so she operates as if the only options are victory or death, as if compromise is impossible, as if the future is binary. But here's what the show never told you. In George R.R. Martin's novel A Game of Thrones, Cersei is not this coldly strategic. She is drunk on the power she has glimpsed, more emotional, more obviously the product of fear mixed with vindication. The novel Cersei acts from desperation. The show Cersei acts from strategy. But both versions share the wound. Both are women responding to an impossible situation, to a husband who humiliates them, to a king who renders them powerless, to a world that treats their bodies as resources rather than theirs. Both have learned that the only response to powerlessness is to become so powerful that powerlessness becomes impossible. The real-world equivalent of Cersei's psychological architecture is documented in research on coercive control by psychologist Evan Stark. Individuals with histories of profound powerlessness often build systems of total dominance, not out of sadism, but out of survival necessity. They have learned that vulnerability is lethal, and so they eliminate vulnerability entirely, at enormous cost to everyone around them, and at catastrophic cost to themselves. The question that remains is not whether Cersei was right about the Game of Thrones. The question is whether a woman so thoroughly wounded could ever have done anything other than what she has done. Could she have chosen differently if she had experienced even one moment where showing weakness did not result in annihilation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next.